Well, good afternoon, everybody. We're excited about the preparation this week to go to Mississippi State and play an exceptional football team, and we're just starting that process right now. I had a good practice yesterday, and we'll get into the pads and nuts and bolts of the game plan today. Going back to last week, I was pleased with the way the guys played. I thought our energy was really good, especially starting the game. We'd challenge the guys to start really fast, which we were able to do, and didn't have any let-ups, which I was really pleased with. Coming out of halftime with a big lead. Week before, we gave up a pretty easy touchdown, and this week guys had different mentality coming out of halftime to continue to put the hammer down, and we were able to do that. So excited about the win, and now we've got to turn our focus to nothing but Mississippi State because it's an exceptional football team, and it'll be a tough environment, but it's a good measuring stick. We need this game. We need to find out as a coaching staff and as players, kind of where we are. So we'll open up for questions.
Chris, nearly half of your scoring drives in two games have encompassed 10 or more plays, and Mississippi State hasn't been prone to allowing those types of drives so far. How important will it be to impose your will and have those long scoring drives Saturday?
Well, we'd take the explosive plays for touchdowns too, if you have the opportunity for explosive plays, we've got to get them. But it's without a question, it's going to be harder to do this, the sustained 10, 12 play drives against a defense of their caliber. So we just got to do a great job of mixing things up, from efficiency in the passing game to being able to control the line of scrimmage, which obviously will be a difficult task. Plus, just the noise and the operation will be more difficult. It's easier to do all that stuff at home. So it'll be a big challenge for our offense this week.
After last game, you talked about the time of possession, historically being your recipe for success over the years. And this offense this year is already averaging 29 first downs a game. And looking back, that's better than any of your North Dakota State teams. I know it's only 2 games, but maybe what's surprising you the most about this offense and its early success?
Just how well they've understood the system, understood what we're trying to do. But we're also having really good success on third down, which keeps those drives alive, obviously, and keeps the time of possession and grind out more first downs and those type of things. It's been obviously really pleasing to us as a coaching staff to see for 2 straight weeks what we've done offensively and sustain that. Now, this will be different deal this week. We're going against a defense that's got a lot of veterans on it, a lot of size and speed, and so, like I said, this will be a big challenge for us offensively.
When things come so easily for you in back-to-back games, what kind of message do you preach to the team before a game like this?
Well, we haven't gotten there yet, but just same thing we've talked about before in here. We're not worried about Saturday today. We've got to have a great Tuesday and getting our preparation ready, offensively, defensively, and on teams. We don't worry about Saturday on Tuesday. We don't worry about it on Wednesday. The first 2 weeks, I think the reason we've had success is we haven't looked ahead. We've stayed on task of the course of each day in our preparation, and that's what we're trying to build here is, we talk about it, stacking great days, and that's what we have to do to be successful.
Ask you about their running back, Kylan Hill. He's obviously had success here in this season. What kind of challenge does he present?
He's a great player. It's fun to watch him. Hopefully it's not going to be fun to watch him live, but he's tremendous. And Coach Malone obviously was around that team last year, and just seeing the way that he runs, he breaks tackles, he beats you with speed. He's a great jump cut guy. He does everything, and they're giving him the football enough to make plays. And I know that he's going to be a focal point of what we're doing on defense to try to slow him down.
How has your team responded to pressure and the simulated situations you put them in practice situations?
Yeah, they've responded pretty well. We did a 2-minute drill yesterday. Today we'll do some red zone stuff and some third down situations to try to get the best wide receivers going against the best defensive backs, and Skyler under pressure from our starting defensive line and linebackers. And I think it's going to make us better just having that competition on a daily basis, and it's still going to be an ongoing process. It just doesn't happen on one day. It's going to be each of those days that we do it, which are Monday and Tuesday, throughout the entire year, and hopefully that'll season us when we get into those pressure moments.
You brought up the fact that Van was on their staff last year. You also have Isaiah Zuber as a receiver there now. What are the advantages and disadvantages of a unique situation like that?
Well, with Van, I think he can just tell the guys about the environment, what it was like in the locker room before playing K-State, just little things like that. He may know some of the personnel. I think on the flip side of it, with Isaiah there, and I wish him the best. I enjoyed my brief time with Isaiah. I think it's just the personnel piece, because he didn't practice last spring. From understanding our offense totally, I think it's more the personnel. I mean, he knows these guys really, really well.
I know obviously a lot's changed since that game last year, but what stands out to you when you watch the film of that game in Manhattan last year?
Just watching that, I think Kansas State had a great opportunity early on and just weren't able to capitalize on some things. And the quarterback from Mississippi State was a tremendous football player that made a ton of plays and kept drives alive and made plays with his arm, his feet. It's a game that we're watching, but systematically some of the things have changed, and so we're not putting all of our emphasis into that. We're looking at more of these first couple games. With what they're doing, obviously they got to be looking more at our first two games rather than last year as well.
With the change at quarterback and their uncertainty right now with that injury, how's that impact your preparations?
I don't think it's going to impact it a whole lot because I think they're going to do what they've done. They've played a couple quarterbacks last year and they still stayed with the same system. In the middle of a game, you typically don't change, but when they had the change it to start the second half or ending that first half, I didn't see much different. I thought the young quarterback came in and did a phenomenal job and was really sharp, and I'm sure for Coach Moorhead he was really excited because the moment wasn't too big for that young man. He came in and played really well. So, whomever they put out there at quarterback, I'm assuming it's going to be the same formula for success. Get the ball into Hill's hands and be efficient in the passing game, and the quarterback's always going to be a threat running the football.
You mentioned him just there, but looking at last year's game and the first two games of this year, Kylan Hill's got to get your attention.
Absolutely. He's a difference maker. He's a phenomenal tailback and can beat you in so many different ways. And we've got to do a great job of keeping the cup and keeping our leverage on him and doing a good job of tackling him because he breaks so many tackles. He's a real physical runner.
Last year they had a couple first-round picks on that defensive line. It was really impressive to watch. They're a little bit different this year. What are you seeing from them along that line?
Well, just through two games, it's probably like us, learning a little bit more about their personnel. They're 2-0, so however you want to look at it, they're having success. Just different pressure packages, letting their guys just go up front. I'm sure that each game that the guys play, just like each game our new guys play, they'll get better and better. But they've had really good production on both sides of the ball, and obviously they always have tremendous athletes with really good speed, and they run to the football so well, and they hit you when they get to the football. That's the thing that I really see on defense for them.
One final question. Coach Snyder used to use jet noise through the speakers to emulate a crowd noise. Do you do anything like that, and how do you emulate cowbells?
Well, we do the jet noise and we've done it for a long time, and we've done it each week so far. Leading up, we did it 2 weeks before Nichols, the week before Nichols, and then last week. And since we were in the stadium the last couple weeks because of the weather, both the offense and defense had to deal with the noise. We're out more on the grass right now, so we can confine some of that noise just to the offense. But it's nonverbal communication is what we have to get really, really good at. And fortunately for us, our offense has had to deal with it these last 2 weeks because we do it for our defense every Wednesday, Thursday.
Would you say Wyatt is on track to play this week?
I would hope so. He didn't participate yesterday. We'll see him today, even if it's limited. But we're hopeful that he can.
You mentioned Jack Stanine yesterday, but who among those true freshmen who played for the first time caught your eye on Saturday?
Well, Jack's, like I mentioned, because of his physicality. I thought Josh Youngblood kind of just emerged and just felt more comfortable, probably because he had so many snaps in the first game, and a number of guys that just getting their feet wet, whether it's Logan Wilson and Will Jones to both the running backs, Joe and Jacardier. I mean, we played a number of guys. Now, will that continue on? We'll have to look each week from a game plan standpoint. But Jax was the one that I think had the most production.
I know you have a lot of faith in Skylar, but is this a week where you have to keep him level at all, or has he seemed pretty calm, like it's just another Tuesday like you talked about?
Yeah, no, he's been really calm, and it's still his daily preparation. And the thing I really appreciate about Skylar is he's not getting ahead of himself. I mean, on Monday, here's what he watches, and here's what he makes sure from the base down and distance and choice downs what we're wanting to run. Today he'll look at more third down stuff and more situational stuff, and that's what I've been really pleased with Skylar is he's so level-headed, and he's attacking today's game plan, which is some of our third down stuff as well as some of our choice situations.
Playing 11 true freshmen obviously has benefits on the field, but what kind of a benefit can that be recruiting-wise, just being able to sell that freshmen can get on the field?
Well, I think that's the landscape of college football now too. More and more young players are going to play for a variety of reasons, whether it's the fact of there's the 4-game rule, that's the number one reason, to the fact of so many people are entering the transfer portal that rosters are depleted a little bit. But we tell everybody they have the opportunity to play. Nobody's going to promise them playing time, but they have the opportunity, and if they do the right thing and understand what they're doing physically and mentally, then they have an opportunity to help us. And once again, every week's going to be different from here on out. Of those 11 guys, I think 5 or 6 are in the plan this week, but maybe none will be next week, or just a couple. I mean, every week's going to be different, and part of that is still, the broad perspective of are we going to stay healthy at certain positions.
What are your impressions of their secondary and Emerson and Dantzler, 1 and 3?
Yeah, they've got tremendous speed and athleticism in the secondary. They can play zone coverage and break on the ball, and are tremendous tacklers in those settings, but they can lock you up too and play exceptional man coverage. And I think we have to be prepared for both. There's certain games you watch from last year where they're playing a lot more man coverage and having really good success. And then there's other games where they sit more in their base defense, and the ball's maybe caught in front of them, but there's not much after the catch because they have such tremendous team speed. And I've been so impressed with their ability to tackle and not let people have much after contact.
Coach, with John and Joe and Jacardier over these past, I guess really just last week, but how important was it for those guys to get touches not only on the field, but on the field at the same time together? Just kind of knowing and looking at the future of this program.
Yeah, the 3 guys you said again, who, I'm sorry?
John Holcomb and Jacardier, and then
Okay.
Joe Irvin.
Well, every snap that John gets is great for him from experience standpoint. Forget just carrying the ball, of understanding the defense, seeing the reads. Maybe he's handing the ball off, maybe he's throwing quick game, but just seeing those pictures, is it single high, is it too high? All those looks help John immensely. They help him. That helps him more than what the running backs are seeing right now. Because with the running backs, those 2 young guys, we were wanting to get them carries. They weren't in there to pass protect very much. We just were late in the game. We were ahead, so let's see what those guys could do. Could they break tackles? Could they see the hole in those things? And our hope is with Joe and Jacardier that experience will make them better. Will it make them better in the near future in playing some more games, or will it make them better in the distant future for next year of just getting those snaps from experience?
And Reggie Walker was named a captain ahead of the season. His brother actually played at Mississippi State. I guess, what do you think this game means to him?
Well, Reggie will have a lot of people down there, and I know he's excited about the opportunity to probably see a lot of family and Reggie's a very competitive guy. I've really enjoyed being around Reggie and getting to know him and how his peers feel about him, electing him as captain. It's going to be a big week for Reg.
Are you going into Saturday with the expectation that Cody Fletcher and Jonathan Durham are going to be available for the defense?
Jonathan will be for sure. Cody is probably, we'll find out on Wednesday with Cody. He didn't practice yesterday and he'll be limited today. I'll know more about Cody probably Wednesday or Thursday, but Jonathan should be good.
Kind of on that note, are you a coach who has like a policy in terms of like, does a guy have to practice twice in a week, or in terms of like just how much does a guy have to practice?
I don't have a set policy, but it's all different. If it were Jacardier Wright and he couldn't practice till Thursday, that's going to be a struggle for him. If it were James Gilbert and he couldn't practice till Thursday, it wouldn't be a struggle for him. It's all based on your experience factor and how much you're in the game plan and what position you're playing. If you're a position where there's a lot of depth and we can use you for a dozen plays, we will. For a position where we don't have a lot of depth, then we probably got to get the next guy ready to go for more extended time. So, but I don't have a set policy on you have to practice a certain amount of time. So.
Coach Moorhead's fellow FCS guy. I'm curious if you ever got a look at him at Fordham, and if not, just what you see in him.
We did a great job at Fordham. He had a great running back there. Chase, I want to say it was Edmonds, but Chase I know was his first name. He had a great running back, and we were out at the same awards banquet in Philadelphia, and I was there with Kyle Emanuel, who won the Buck Buchanan Award, and we visited out there, and a tremendous amount of respect for what Coach has done and done it the right way. He elevated that program at Fordham, had a great opportunity at Penn State, made the most of that, and then obviously has a job at Mississippi State and doing a great job. So much respect for Coach. So I'm at the convention this year. Had a quick conversation with him. Looking forward to seeing him to pick his brain a little bit because he's been doing this a little longer than I have at the Power 5 level. But tremendous coach, tremendous person, and excited to see him again.
Yeah, you talked about this would be a good measuring stick. You guys gotten off to such good starts. You really haven't faced any adversity in games. Is that a concern at all, or is that something you'd kind of like to see?
Wouldn't it be fun if we didn't face any adversity the whole year? Yeah, that would be great. But we know it's coming, and to the upperclassmen, to the captains, to their credit, they came out ready to play and jumped on these two teams early and made a statement. And I'm so happy for those guys, which told me an awful lot about they don't worry about who we're playing. It's just coming ready to play. And so we know there's going to be adversity and probably going to be some adversity this week. There's so many guys that have played in big games that I'm counting on those guys rising up and raising their level of play, and more importantly, challenging the guys that haven't played at this level yet. That, it's no different than us going against each other on a Wednesday in August when tempers are flaring and stuff, and we're going ones versus ones, and it's a battle. And it'll be a different atmosphere for sure. But that's the competitive spirit and the fire that you want. That I'm excited because our upperclassmen and our captain's doing a great job of leading.
Also wanted to ask you about Skyler. Kind of joked about the fourth down play.
Yep.
That he said if they hadn't made the play, he might have heard about that on the sideline. But how important is the situation also when you go for something like that? And is that kind of something?
Well, no, I told him when he came off the field, I said that I hope that shows you how much confidence we as a staff have in you. And he knows we have tremendous confidence in him, but I knew that he was going to get us in the right play and he was going to execute it. And if it wouldn't have been successful, if they'd have called it back or something or said it wasn't I wouldn't have changed my thought. But I think it's really important, especially at that position, that you instill as much confidence in those guys as you can to say, hey, this is your game. It's 4th and 3. Go make a play. And one thing we were talking about prior to that snap is the ball was going to be in his hands, whether it was going to be a run-pass option. We were just going to throw a quick game, but they ended up pressing, and we thought Malik could get the guy, or Skyler thought Malik could beat him on the fade route and gave him a shot, and shows as much about Malik as well of making a big play on a 4th down.
game, though, when it's come down to the wire? Are you a little more careful about going for the home run?
All depends. All depends on the field position, the situation, all those things. And so I can't answer that based on week to week what we do.
The heat and humidity where you're going to be playing affects how you try and do things or prepare?
Yeah, absolutely it does. We've had some heat and humidity here, but not near enough, and not as much as we're going to have down in Starkville. But we're hoping that it's going to be hot, and at least it's going to be humid here these next few days. We were outside yesterday, although the sun was not. It was at least humid, and so we were able to get outside. I'm hopeful and confident that all the training that these guys did in July, when it was really humid, was hot with Coach Dawson, when chips are down and you're tired and you're gassed, boy, you really got to fight through it then. I'm hoping that helps us as well as these next few days. And the fact that it's a non-conference game and we can take a few more bodies helps us as well. And we full well know that we're going to have to rotate a number of bodies in there early on so that we stay as fresh as we can in the second half.
Not a lot of sacks so far, but if you have the young kid or whoever it is at quarterback, how important will it be to get some pressure and kind of fluster him?
Yeah, that's an area that we know we have to continue to challenge the guys and improve is within our pass rush. And I think we've had some really good individual pass rush situations. Once again, we haven't had that many plays to do it. And in that many critical situations, we've played a lot of backups and not the starters. Where we have to get better at is working together, whether it's a tackle and an end in a game or two tackles on a game, whatever it may be. We've got to continue to improve upon in that area. But I know there's a lot of veteran guys that have had an awful lot of success and, just now getting them in the right situation. But maybe that's no different than it's a critical 3rd and 8 in the game on Saturday. Can one of those veteran guys make a big play for us?
I know you played some Big Ten and Big 12 teams when you were at North Dakota State.
Yeah.
Do you have any experience with the SEC?
I don't. There was a game they were trying to schedule with Alabama when we were at North Dakota State, and I'm glad they didn't do that. But no, I haven't. Obviously, excited about the opportunity and been down to that area, spoke at Georgia, like I said, a couple of years ago, and get to see the environment and all that stuff. But it'll be a great experience for all of us as a coaching staff. We got a number of coaches that have been at this SEC and coached in and against SEC for a number of years. Our players are excited about the opportunity to go down there, and they know as well as I do that this is not a win-at-all-cost game, not a lose-at-all. We're going to play. We need to play our best football to have a chance to be successful. But we're going to go in there with the hope and the thought that we play our best, we have an opportunity to be successful. And that's all I'm hoping for, is that we play our best football on Saturday and see where we're at.
This will be after ESPN's College Game Day, national telecast. Great opportunity for K-State to showcase itself as, one of the players in the Big 12 this year.
Yeah, sure it is. But I think you hope you measure yourself every week. I don't care if we're on whatever station. You get an opportunity to tee it up. You only get 12 opportunities all year, and none of them are guaranteed. We have a couple of guys that have lost their seasons, whether it's Harder or Justin Hughes, that you never know when it's your last play. And so I don't care where we're playing, who we're playing. You have an opportunity to play this game that's the greatest game out there. You make sure you're prepared for yourself, make sure you're prepared for your teammate and your brother next to you so that we can put our best foot forward each Saturday.
I just want to know, how did the backup quarterback kind of grade? I know they weren't necessarily in pressure situations, but there was much defensive action both of them.
Yeah, I was pleased with both of them being able to complete a pass or two. That was the big key for us. Obviously, there's some different things we do with John than we do with Nick, but I was pleased that we threw a couple of strikes outside in somewhat critical situations, a 3rd and short for them. Once again, every situation, I don't care if it's a 5th-year senior, a redshirt freshman, or a true freshman, no matter what time of game it is, it's your opportunity. And I was really pleased. I know Nick had a really good completion. I think it was to Seth or to Landry on a 3rd and 2 or 3rd and 3, and had another one on maybe even a 4th and 1 or 4th and 2 to Josh Youngblood. Those are big plays for him from confidence standpoint. So Colin and I visited again this week. Each week we'll just see who has the better week, but they're both in the plan, and we could use both of them.
Chris, is there anything that Skylar has to do this week that he hasn't had to or been asked to do the first 2 weeks?
No, I just think he's got to play within himself and play within the system and in the scheme and take what the defense gives him. And right now he's been able to take some shots with some people that are playing some press because of the fact that everybody had to come up closer to the line of scrimmage to try to stop the run. This week, we don't know. Are we going to see man? Are we going to see zone? He's got to do a great job of just seeing the big picture, see what he sees, and then between he, Mess, and Coach Klein, get us in the best play and play within himself.